Hello, I am Nezih Orhon, Professor of Communications at Anadolu-University in Eskişehir, Turkey. And I recorded this message right in the morning of that horrible attack happened in Istanbul Atatürk Airport last night. And through this message, first of all, I would like to share my condolences and my grief to those families who lost their loved ones and got injured. Um, in terms of the successful Colombian peace process, first of all, I would like to congratulate you because being a professor of communications and who is teaching a person like me, a person myself teaching cultural diversity and communication, peace journalism, crisis and conflict reporting. I have been following the Colombian peace process for some time, and it has been very useful and very important example in most of my courses, in terms of mediation, in terms of negotiation, in terms of social transformation, in terms of peace building. So again, I would like to congratulate you. So, in my opinion, the process that Colombia handled and successfully completed means a lot. I mean, imagine it has been more than 50 years of a process, and unfortunately, many losses. But in my opinion, for a country like Turkey, and for other countries in the region, in Middle East, in some parts of other parts of the world, it's, in my opinion, it's a very useful, very rich, very important example for the world and for Turkey. Why? In my opinion, the crucial word here is the process. In my opinion, Colombia, first of all, was so successful in terms of managing, running, and energizing the process to establish and to come out with a clear example, clear outcome of peace. And in my opinion, usually we see the result as the main aim, but sometimes, in my opinion, it's the process actually which is most important. And in my opinion, in the Colombian case, in the Colombian successful case for the rest of the world, which needs to be taken as a very important example, how to run a crucial process. So I again would like to underline the word process. So what I understand from the word process is, in that process related with peace, obviously there are issues related with conflict, with different angles, attitudes, obviously, behaviors, contradictions that we have to discuss on the table. But through this process, in my opinion, Colombian case was really successful to convey the messages. Sometimes the process itself is the target. So in my opinion, how to run a very technical, a very how I should define it, inviting process for all stakeholders on the table, which was very important. So through that process, in my opinion, very interesting issues were on table. Obviously, methods, methodologies, different viewpoints, different bridging techniques, how to bridge those different angles, or applying the different techniques and tools. But especially in a country like Colombia, in my opinion, there are many similarities between Colombia and Turkey, and I have been in Colombia, in Bogota. In my opinion, issues related with empowering individuals, empowering communities, issues related with poverty or inequalities, or issues related with governance, sometimes in the times of bad governance, obviously, or issues related with democracy, or sometimes lack of democracy, or violations of rights, issues of sharing and distributing the rights to the communities, or issues related with security. In my opinion, what I understand from the word of process is, in my opinion, Colombian case was the successful example how they really manage these issues on the table in terms of the stakeholders on the table. So when we are talking about issues related like poverty, equalities or inequalities, governance, democracy, rights, or securities, in my opinion, a peace process, the Colombian peace process, was a clear example of not to deal with anymore about the dividers, but actually it was a clear and a very successful, very rich example of connectors. So especially on the table for long time, for the long talks, whoever the partners are, in my opinion, Colombian case again and again was an example of not to deal with anymore the dividers but the connectors. What I mean by them is, especially during the time beings for long years, in the example of Colombia, disputes, uh, non-agreements, or you know dividing issues were usually the cases. But in my opinion, people, leaders, the champions of the peace, they felt the great necessity of the being connectors in terms of handling issues related with poverty, inequalities. Because in my opinion, peace means those issues. Peace means how to handle poverties. Peace means how to handle inequalities. Peace means how to handle bad governance, or how to run the governance issue. Or peace means how to find a solution for lack of democracies. In my opinion, those leaders, Colombian leaders, they really executed a beautiful process, that they standed out, they stepped out of their comfort zone, and they wanted to find answers for the issues of securities, again for the issues of rights, or for the issues of violations of the rights. So in my opinion, when they decided to step from their comfort zone, then they became the connectors. Connectors of whom? Connectors of, in my opinion, communication between sides. In my opinion, they became the connectors of communities, in my opinion, or the groups, or the different view angles, or they became the connectors of issues. And in my opinion, they gave a great example of, especially in the times of peace processes, communication becomes one of the crucial issues, and giving and receiving feedback, not only talking but also listening and also contributing to each other, in my opinion. So they did not only cooperate on the table, but most importantly, while they became connectors, while they became good communicators, in my opinion, besides being cooperators, they became collaborators. So actually they built together. So instead of being individuals, being leaders of discussing power issues or discussing position issues, and all those things, they result in compromises, again they preferred something else. In my opinion, they had a from my understanding, they had a different understanding, and which became as a result a success. First things first, in my opinion, they asked themselves, where are they right now? Asking myself where I am right now. And then they ask themselves, where do they want to be in terms of reaching the peace? That creates the momentum, that creates a movement. And so imagine those leaders from Colombia asked themselves where they were, and where they want to be at the end created a great result in terms of the peace. So that momentum, that movement, what it meant is they wanted change. In my opinion, from a sociological perspective, from any perspective, if you desire the change, maybe in the short run, maybe in the mid run, you may sometimes feel some pain, sometimes disturbances, but in the long run, change always brings something positive for the major, massive populations. So, from my final words, in my opinion, while Colombia on the table discussed about issues again related with justice, demobilization, or repair, or victims, obviously, or political participation, or issues like social reintegration. Right next to the word of process, they put the word change. So they wanted to step out again from their comfort zone, and they wanted a momentum, they wanted a movement for the change. What kind of change? In my opinion, they wanted to redefine, rediscover solidarity in their country. In my opinion, they wanted change. Why? Again, because they wanted to rediscover, redefine, re-energize the mutual purpose for everyone, for all communities, for the whole country. Again, I would like to congratulate Colombia for being an example, being a very crucial case for the rest of the world, for rediscovering solidarity in the whole country, for the whole communities, and again, for bring a mutual purpose through a peace process. In my opinion, it's one of the crucial example from that Colombian peace process is the underlining a mutual purpose, not a purpose for some people, not a purpose for some groups or elites or for some other people, but a mutual purpose for the whole country. And again, I congratulate Colombia. And I will say one last thing. In my opinion, Colombia is a very crucial example for Turkey and for similar countries. But one thing, in my opinion, which is, in my opinion, a bit unlucky, the day Colombia signed the peace signature, peace agreement, unfortunately, that day was the Brexit. Britain voted to exit European Union, so it was a bit in the shadow of those European talks. And in my opinion, people will soon realize that they have to deeply study, they have to deeply question what it means really from what they can learn from the Colombian peace process. And in my opinion, in my courses in peace journalism, crisis and conflict reporting, and especially in the cultural diversity and communication courses, I hope I will benefit a lot. And again, congratulate you, Colombia.